Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're actually going to be looking at how to prepare for Flux's proof of useful work, which is coming onto the network soon. So we have an article here. I'm not going to read it out. I'm just going to link it in the description below. If you guys want to read into Flux proof of useful work, I did make a video on the channel around 3-4 days ago. There it is, proof of useful work, just talking about it. But now I'm going to go a bit more in depth and talk about how we can prepare for proof of useful work on the network and how to set up our rigs for proof of useful work. So this tweet came from one of the developers over at the testing for proof of useful work. We already covered this in the earlier video. However, this is just the scanning stage of how proof of useful work is going to look. So what they're doing is they're going to benchmark your GPU and your whole computer basically, based on the operating system, motherboard, CPU, GPU, memory, storage, and network. So all these things can be used for proof of useful work. Even if it's not just GPU power, it could be CPU power, storage, RAM, stuff like that. So what's going to happen is they're going to scan and then it's going to give you a score, I believe. And then on Twitter here, this is actually the proof of useful work beta dashboard, I believe. This is from Flux, as you can see there. So we can see here, we have system control, so this is going to be on, off, maybe refresh, something like that. System utility, it's maybe going to show how your speed is on the network. And then it's going to display if you have one GPU or 2, 3, 4, one CPU, 2, 3, 4, same thing. Then we're going to have estimated profitability here and a benchmark score. Now this is probably the biggest thing, is a benchmark score. And then the second biggest thing is going to be uptime on the network. So mainly what we want to do to prepare for proof of useful work is actually not just based on GPUs. We don't just want to buy a bunch of GPUs. Yes, they will be used for proof of useful work, but I believe that the main things will probably be network uptime. So stable internet connection, that is one of the biggest things, because then the network can rely on you to keep it up at 24 hours per day. So we want that. That'll probably give you a better score. It doesn't really matter about what GPUs you're using. CPUs definitely. Probably higher end ones would be better because they can have more cores and therefore node running and stuff like that can be used for proof of useful work. And then RAM, stuff like that as well would be used. So a lot of these things that aren't just GPU mining, I think GPUs are definitely going to add to profitability, but the main thing is that the network can rely on your system. So if you're using Wi-Fi to connect, some people have Wi-Fi miners where they have really good Wi-Fi, but they're using instead of Ethernet connection. So I'd upgrade to Ethernet connection from directly your router to your computer instead of having that Wi-Fi, because the uptime would be better and you'd have more bytes on the network. So you'd have better internet connection to these servers. So they could be a better benchmark score and uptime score. So it says there the benchmark score isn't run yet and the uptime is 49 minutes. And then under it in gray, it says 100% reliability. So as I was saying, it's more about the reliability. If you can have your systems running 24/7, then you are considered the most reliable. So this is the dashboard, and we actually have another kind of picture of the dashboard from the Flux AMA. You can go check that out. I'll link it in the description as well. Where we can see here, it shows the GPU usage, GPU memory, the CPU usage, and memory usage. So it will be encountering stuff like the CPUs and the RAM for more power on the network. So if you have extra RAM sticks, you could stick that on. Therefore, you could use more RAM and you get a better score when you benchmark your computer. Same with the GPU usage, so how many GPUs you have, and plus the amount of VRAM that the GPU holds. So I believe a lot of them just do 12 gigabyte right now. I think that the 40 series is 24, I'm pretty sure. And obviously the CPU usage there. If we actually try to zoom this in, I'm just going to open this up a little bit. We can see here you can start benchmarking. And then down below that, it says your score. So this looks like 13.654, something like that. And then it says average score is 12.654, but the best is 18.654. So this is how they're going to rate all of the rigs on the network. So you want to have basically a dedicated rig for proof of useful work. It doesn't really matter how good the hardware is. Obviously, if you can add more RAM sticks and if you can add more GPUs, that will be more profitability. But I believe it's more about how reliable your rigs will be. And then they'll give you a better score because you need to be there, 24/7 to provide the computing power, and they can rely on you to provide it. So as it says there, the best is 18. So they've probably gone through a bunch of benchmarking with different types of rigs, I guess. Now, if you're actually looking to invest and go into proof of useful work, they actually came out with an Octominer collaboration. So I believe if we look, let me scroll through this. It is right here. So this is the Octominer that they released, or is going to be released. So I'm assuming that all of these Octominers are kind of prepared for proof of useful work, as in they're optimized for it. So if you have the money to spend on it, and if you have, how many GPU slots is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 GPU slots. So if you have, you could even have 8 GPUs, but theoretically, I think that these would be optimized for proof of useful work if it was in collaboration. And these are slightly more efficient than just having an open rig, just because of the fans, they can cool down the GPUs better. You get better airflow, stuff like that. It's already set up for you. And you have the CPUs already built in and the RAM sticks. So as we can see there's RAM sticks by there. So all this is basically pre-set up for you. And then you have to just stick your own GPUs in and put it onto the proof of useful work network. So if you're looking to really dedicate a rig to it, I'd suggest looking into buying one of these Octominers. I don't know how much they are, maybe $500, something like that. But we don't actually know what the profitability looks like because it didn't show in the benchmarks, because they obviously don't have any on the network right now. They don't have any jobs. So it says down here balance and then the assets. So I don't believe we're going to be getting parallel assets from this. It's only going to be just pure Flux based on the reward that people have asked to claim. I suppose when people come onto the network, they're going to be saying, I'm going to offer this amount of Flux if you solve this problem for me. So it says they're mining as well. So I'm assuming that this will be a dashboard for mining and proof of useful work. So you'll stick your rigs on the network, and then when it switches over to proof of useful work, it's going to go through and see which ones have the most reliable score. It's going to pick them up first, and then it's going to leave the other ones to mine. If more jobs come on the network, it's going to start picking up the less reliable ones. But for the main part, if you have 100% on your reliability, I think that's going to be the main factor that allows you to actually participate in proof of useful work. I don't think it's going to be much about what you actually have on your rigs. Obviously, they want good performance, like GPUs like the 40 series or the 30 series. But as long as you keep the reliability good, then you might be able to outscore something that has, they could have a 40 series rig, however, they only have 70% reliability, whilst you could have a 10 series rig with 100% reliability. So that's just probably how it's going to work. And obviously they did say in this AMA that they're going to be coming out with a dedicated proof of useful work 3070 and 3060, I believe. So maybe those are the ones that they benchmarked proof of useful work on. So in theory, they might be the best GPUs to buy for proof of useful work. I don't know. They're probably not, assuming the 40 series has come out and they just didn't test it on there. They've probably been testing for a while on the 30 series. However, on the actual Flux network, so the Zel hash, the 20 series are actually the best for mining Flux. Now, that's definitely not going to be the same for proof of useful work because it's a different nature of job. It's not just mining. It will be rendering or AI or cloud gaming. So they're going to be coming out with that. And as I said, the Octominer is going to look like this for the front of it and the back of it. They're just going to have the Flux logo. So they did say that this is not going to be the Shroud, the same Shroud. They're going to be a different one. It's not going to be this Founders Edition, but it's going to kind of look like this. So just wanted to let you guys know about that. So lastly, we've covered all of the stuff to do with proof of useful work. I just want to recap. Reliability is going to be the main thing. So uptime on the network. You've got to have good internet connection, so preferably wired Ethernet. Good reliability, so you have to have it stuck on proof of useful work for 100% of the time. So I'd be personally looking to dedicate a rig to it. Doesn't really matter what GPUs you could put on it, you could swap them out as long as you keep the uptime on the network at 100%. I just want to mention here that the new parallel asset has been announced for Flux as well. It's going to be Polygon Chain. That means that we only have one more parallel asset to be released. And as it says here, eligible for the airdrop, those who took part in the 31st of October 2022 snapshot. So that was quite a while ago before they released it. I know they were releasing a lot of parallel assets over the past 2 years. They did like one every 3 months, but they've slowed it down. I think they're just looking for reliable chains that they can use right now. They did have Luna set up to be one of them. However, that fell through. So they probably backtracked on a lot of things and were like, we need to assess coins before we actually just jump in and add a parallel asset to them. So the next parallel asset is going to be Polygon Chain. It doesn't have a release date yet, but as it says here, most likely be at the end of June or early July. So hopefully you guys have gained some information on how to set up your rigs for proof of useful work. Let me know in the comments what you're going to be doing for proof of useful work, if you're going to dedicate a rig, or maybe you're just going to set up a smaller rig, like with one GPU, and just keep it running all the time. Just let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on proof of useful work and how you're going to set up for it. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more content like this.